This summer here in August, we're going to be doing our second Egypt Sacred Lands tour. So the name of my touring company is called Sacred Lands Tours, but this will be specifically the Egypt Sacred Lands Tour. And on it we'll see the Giza Plateau. As I mentioned, we will go inside of Menkaura's pyramid, the Egyptian Museum, which is the foremost ancient Egyptian museum in the world, the Coptic Museum. And I talked about the origins of Christianity in Egypt, even though it's a little bit different than the Christianity that's practiced right now. So I have a book, it's called The Book That Every Black Christian Should Read, that explains that whole situation. But if you go to the Coptic Museum, you'll see the oldest picture of Jesus that exists in the world. Now think about that. You go to Africa, into the Christian Museum in Africa, you see the oldest picture of Jesus, and he melanated. Okay? Beni Hassan, which is where I showed you the important historical documents that's written on the wall. If you ever go to my webpage, drkyles.com, drkyles.com, and you'll see the pictures from when we were at Beni Hassan. That was so much fun. Because everywhere you go, you had these armed guards. That's one thing I forgot to mention to y'all, the security issue. You had these armed guards everywhere. But when we went there, it was so much fun. We were taking pictures with the guards. It was not a stressful situation. It's a security measure, because your life, each individual, his or her life as a tourist, is worth billions of dollars to the to the Egyptians. Tourism is the #1 source of income in that country, and you are well received by everybody, with the exception of them asking for bakshish all the time. Bakshish, that's Arabic for tip. But if you go to, you can also check out, if you go to YouTube and you look at my videos, you'll see us, a lot of interaction, and you'll see a lot of soldiers around. So the soldiers that you see, they're at the actual monuments. The protection that are with us, you don't really see them with their weapons out like this. They have their weapons in their coat pocket most of the time with a suit. But I was actually there the last time we had this ordeal. Our American people thought that we were in danger, until we found out that they continue to loop the same old thing in the media over and over again. So I say to all the melanated people, you're far more safe with me in Egypt than you are here on your own. Akhenaten, we mentioned Akhenaten tomb. Of course, we'll see pieces of it when we go to the Egyptian Museum. I know some of you are going on March 2nd, but if you want to go on March 19th, well, all of those tickets for March 5th are sold out, but for March 19th, you can go to the Natural Science Museum with me. Then the Temple of Hatshepsut, I didn't talk about her just because of time, but this is one of my people in the history of the world. And this coming from a historian and archaeologist. I'm telling you, this woman was a genius. And she wasn't like passive. She was just brilliant. She solved her problems. It's interesting the way she solved every single one of her problems, because she always used her mind to solve her problems. And one of the things that she said is that her father prepared her to be king. And there's a video, it's like 5 minutes. It's like an excerpt from a movie of Hatshepsut, and she's talking about why she makes the decisions that she made, because she had a clash with the cult of Amen. And the cult of Amen, it may sound like it based on things that I'm saying. It's just that over time, corrupt leadership kind of makes the body look bad, and so that's what you find with the cult of Amen. But they could not outmaneuver this woman. right here. Her name is Hatshepsut. If for everybody who signs up for the tour to Egypt, I will give them a copy of this book. But if you're interested in ancient Egypt in particular, you probably should read this book. Half of it is about what happened before Egypt, and then the rest of it is about basically Egyptian history. But about the pyramids, who built them? The pyramid, the ancient Egyptians, they have a lot of downtime, right? So let's say if I'm a farmer, I'm not farming 12 months. I have a significant amount of downtime. I have to, first of all, I already have my food saved up, because they had an abundance of food, which is why you have these foreigners who keep coming in. All right, so their number one priority is to prepare for the flooding of the Nile, and then after the flooding of the Nile, do the things that they need to do from a sanitary or societal standpoint. So they spend less than half the year with endeavors associated with food, even though they have an overabundance of food. So you think about it, the societies that were there before them, they now destroyed their communities. They use their mind like we are doing now, and also need to do even a better job of now. They use their mind, irrigated the land, ended up with an overabundance of food. Now, the pyramids are designed, the first pyramid, as a matter of fact, it's the step pyramid. It's called the step pyramid, or the Mastaba pyramid. It was designed by Imhotep. Imhotep, that name means he who comes in peace, but Imhotep, as far as we can determine, what is the foremost genius, that has ever existed. And the reason why we say that is because he designed the first pyramid. There are two important medical papyri, and the chematologists believe that Imhotep wrote each one of these papyri. Of all the ancient Egyptians, he's the only one that we know of that was actually deified by the Egyptians. Talking about Imhotep. All right. So Imhotep designed the Mastaba pyramid, and those who came after him built on the technological design that he created. So it's those very same priests who I was telling you about, who were geniuses, who passed down knowledge from hundreds of thousands of years, those very same priests designed the pyramids, and then the multitudes of Egyptian citizens helped them to actually build the pyramid. That's important because now you may hear people say that the pyramids were built by slaves. And the reason why they believe that is because something happened in history to make them believe that. What we call the Jews hijacked the culture of the Hebrews. And when they hijacked the culture of the Hebrews, they created mythological, fallacious stories that they presented as history. It wasn't mythological, it was outright lies, it was fallacious. And they created this for us to believe in the antiquity of the Jews. That's why one of the fallacious books is called The Antiquity of the Jews. Now, those people who actually physically built the pyramid, those were Egyptians, right? And so when they're building the pyramid, they're getting food, they're getting shelter, and then ultimately they go back to that community. So they were not slaves. So whenever you hear that slaves built the pyramid, you already know that whoever you're talking to, they've been misled. He's a character. He's a true character. Now the sister mentioned his shape, and that whole style of art, they call that the Tel Armana style. That's the city that he created, and basically an art style that was created right there in his city. Why that attracted him? I don't know. That's what I would like to know.
So he didn't truly look like a woman's body.
Oh, with the hips? No, man, that's artistic. That's artistic. He didn't have hips like that. yeah, that's artistic. Like when you find artifacts from that region in time, you'll see the same thing with other people. Yeah, but he's a piece of work. He believed in more so of a peaceful type.
Right.
But the problem with that is that he's king at a time when foreigners are consistently threatening Egypt. So it really wasn't time for all of that. Right. And that's why when the 19th dynasty that I was telling y'all about, remember I was saying the 19th dynasty was militarized? That's why when the 19th dynasty comes to power after Akhenaten in the 18th dynasty, that's why Ramses has to lace up the boots and basically take care of many of the threats to the country. And I like Akhenaten, but I stopped short of putting him up really, really high, because it's like you have people who want to take over the country basically banging the door trying to get in. You got to do something more than a prayer,
Right.
And so, yeah, so that's that. Yes, bro.
How you doing? What is your distinction between? I got it's a two-question thing. What is your distinction between spirituality and religion, and what would you say that the Kemites, were they religious or were they spiritual people?
Oh, hit the door, bro. Thank you.
I'll tap everyone.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a tough one. If I had to go one way or the other, I would say spiritual, and let me explain why. Before you came, you were here. Earlier I was talking about religion, and I was saying religion is based on doctrine. It's based on the acceptance of specific things as facts. They may not be a fact, other people may not believe they're a fact, but you, as a devout believer of a specific religion, you believe that it is a fact. That is religion. So when you're talking about spirituality, I don't think there's a single definition for spirituality, because you take somebody like me and I say I'm spiritual. Take Brother Bobby, he says he's spiritual. But we have a different value system or something like that. So what do I think about the ancient Egyptians? I'll have to say that I think that they were both religious and spiritual, and let me explain why. Like I was saying, depending on where you come from, you have a specific value system, or you believe in a specific story of creation, and it's the creation stories that basically makes the religion. So Imhotep, for example, where Imhotep comes from and the time that he was born, they believe in Ptah. Right? Most of the people there would say the name of the Almighty is Ptah. And then you have a creation story called the Memphite theology that comes from that specific region. And then you go to the central area where the temples are, then you have the rise of the name Amen for the Almighty, and a whole creation story associated with Amen. Now, would the two have a clash? No, they won't have a clash, because many of the deities in the Memphite theology are also the deities that you find in the Amun theology, or even the theology of this god named Khnum. I showed y'all the man Khnum Hotep. Well, Khnum is another word for the Almighty. So whenever you hear these names for the Almighty, you know we're talking about a specific region of the country and a specific time of the country. But how well do they mesh? They mesh very well because of the 42, because of the Ma'at and the 42 declarations. So I would say that they have what we would call religion. They have that so-called doctrines, creation stories, but then they also have kind of like more of a spiritual perspective, which is exemplified by that. I can go back to the beginning and show you. That's why I was showing you this. See, so you have this is the hieroglyph for Ra. So where you have the omnipotence of the Almighty, and then you have everything else that exists in the universe emanating from Ra. So I have to say I couldn't just say one or the other. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think they believe the allegories that Kemites taught to everyday people? Do you think they believe how Christians and Muslims believe their doctrine, or you think they knew it was just allegories, but they understood the principles of it?
You know, I started to say something to that effect, but I didn't want to be long with it. I think that they believed in the allegories. I think even the common folk understood that it was allegorical.
Yeah.
And at no point would they have said, and I think that's a big part too, why the people from different regions didn't clash a lot over religion. Right. Yeah, but
Okay, Mick. Is there any kind of in Egypt? Is there any kind of written document or any proof that? Because I know I came kind of late. That Joseph and Moses exist.
that who is
Any
this?
proof? Moses and Joseph in the Bible over there, like on their walls and the flood and the grave. Is there proof over there?
No. Now, there isn't any proof of the existence of anyone in the Bible. Zero. Now there is proof of people who lived before the Bible supposedly came into existence. For example, you know, they say the Bible begins 4,000 years ago, but we know for a fact. And if you ever are able to actually go over there to Kemet, come with me here in August, you will be able to see actual people who existed long before 2000 BCE.
Right.
So now, no one in the Bible really existed, but I used to have this bookstore over here on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Everybody would come. Now the mainstream Christians came because it's a black bookstore, and you know they black and proud too.
Right.
And then you have your RBG community who is completely unapologetic, and they feel betrayed by religion. I mean by Christianity. So they would have these clashes all the time. But what's interesting, what they never mentioned was the very first Christians who came from a group of people that we call Gnostics. And their preoccupation is not with you just declare something and all of a sudden you're going to heaven, right? You have to consistently acquire knowledge, and you have to apply that knowledge. So once you apply that knowledge, like you can't eat really bad foods,
Right.
you can't say things that are really destructive, and that process of coming into yourself, that's where the Father is. Okay, I think it's in the Bible, in Luke 17:12. It says the Father is within you and the Father is without you. So if the mainstream Christians actually read the Bible, they would be thinking more like the Gnostics.
Right.
So those Christians are worthy of mention. And then if you read their doctrines, you can find their doctrines in the Nag Hammadi text. But if you want a basic introduction to it all, just look at my book. It's called The Book That Every Black Christian Should Read. And you'll see very clearly why our Christian ancestors they were good. We should study them. We should understand what they had to say, but we also have to accept the reality that the Romans, by way of violence, hijacked Christianity and Hebrewism. And when they hijacked it, they made it into something that it wasn't. And that's why you see, and why is it that when the Gnostics or the ancient African Christians are talking, they're talking about the Father being within, and that you come into being saved by what's called gnosis. And what is gnosis? Gnosis means that you know something intuitively. Right, that's what gnosis is, divine intuition. Right. That's what the original Christians had to say. Now, once the Romans hijacked, they had to rob the people who they were trying to colonize, rob them of their divinity, rob them of their physical and spiritual independence. Now we have to make them go. We have to make them go to the Almighty by way of a person in the middle, and that person is the priest, and that is why the Roman Catholic Church is filthy rich today.
I think the worst thing they ever did was take the female energy. I mean, the female, like,
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
because that's natural, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and this goes back when we were saying, why we all know that this means eternal life. So why then, to show eternal life, why would you show a phallus and a womb? Because these two together is what creates perpetuity. And they didn't really reduce this to the human experience, right? I mean, they're looking at it more so from a universal experience, which is why you have to read other books like the Kabbalion, for example, Kybalion. You have to read that type of thing and kind of understand the big picture of things. But if you stick with the narrow picture, then you'll become misogynistic too, and it'll ruin it'll impact every aspect of your life and the community that you serve. So and I have to say that it affects not just the brothers, but it also affects the sisters. And I didn't get a chance in this presentation to talk about Hatshepsut. Yeah, didn't get a chance to talk about her. But Hatshepsut is one of the greatest people ever to walk this earth. And the reason why I say that is because of the way that she dealt with pressure. When the pressure came to her, she didn't buckle. She used everything that she had and was successful. And her father, now imagine if her father had been misogynistic. Her father would not have socialized her and would not have trained her in the way that he did. And because of her, the country received great benefit. If you go to Egypt, you'll go to the temple to Hatshepsut. It's called Deshret, the most ancient and holiest of places. It was designed by basically her boyfriend, right? And when you go to that temple, you can see the impact of the things that she's done, including the trade expeditions into the heartland of Africa. So she increased the wealth, and she ensured that the country didn't get attacked from foreigners. So, like I say, you have to recognize talent irrespective of the person's sex. And her father did that. You know, and it benefited the whole country. So I agree with you, Kevin. All right, so I want to get your email addresses. You can go to my website here, drkyles.com, and it will tell you everything about the upcoming tour to Egypt in August. We have a payment plan. We're going to meet here at this in New York City at Kennedy Airport. If you can meet me there at Kennedy Airport, I have all your expenses after that, with the exception of the tips. So here we are at the marketplace of this wonderful African Nubian village. Again, this village is Karpa Sahel. All right, and you can see these are many of the wonderful things. These are all hand made jewelry and carvings. Now, where I'm from in H-Town, Houston, Texas, we have a big Buy Black campaign. So since we've been here, we've definitely put our share of the money into the government funds, into the funds of Arabs and such. So now here we are in the Nubian village, we want to stay true to the whole Buy Black concept. So here we are in the marketplace, doing our part, small part, but you know, it only take a small part to be impactful. So doing our part for the black economy right here in our homeland. If you go to, like let's say we get on the plane, you get all the food, we go to a hotel, we basically feast at a hotel. Before this 2 weeks is over, you'll be tired of eating. And it's good Mediterranean food. I mean, imagine that. You know, I'm a foodie, so that's like, imagine 2 weeks of excellent food, char broth, tropical spices, and hotels, monuments. We're gonna take the train. We're gonna go to the most southern area of the country. I was showing y'all a picture, and I was telling you how I took the picture looking over into Sudan. This picture. Now, once we go here to the temple that Ramses built a gigantic temple for himself, and then Ramses built a gigantic temple to his wife, right next to his temple. And from there, on our way back up to Cairo, we'll take a train. But you won't be with the natives. They won't let us take trains like with the everyday Egyptians. You know, our train will be kind of comfortable, with have air conditioning and drinks and all that kind of stuff. But that's cool, you know. But all of those expenses are paid for. Only thing you would have to pay for is like when we leave a hotel, you should leave them $1 for every day that we stayed at that hotel. So over the course of 13 days, it's like $13. You're gonna want some specialized drinks because though they're gonna, at the hotels, they're gonna be making all of these fruit drinks. You're gonna want that. You're gonna see me shopping, you're gonna want to do the same thing. And I will say about shopping, it's superb because like when you get there, they come to you, they're showing you all of these things. Don't buy. Don't buy in Cairo. That's like buying in, I don't know, New York. Yeah. Don't buy in Cairo because then you'll have to carry that stuff with you for 2 weeks other than you paying the high prices. But if you wait till we get to the south, then that you can buy many things inexpensively, and you won't have to pack it around with you as long. Not to mention, we have a Buy Black campaign, and if y'all have just a few minutes, I'm gonna show y'all a little bit of video from it. Like here, y'all know we have the Buy Black initiative here in the United States. All of the cities are doing the Buy Black initiative, but there in Egypt, we also have our own little Buy Black initiative. Here we are at the marketplace of this wonderful African Nubian village. Again, this village is Karpa Sahel, right? And you can see these are many of the wonderful things. These are all hand-made jewelry and carvings. From in H-Town, Houston, Texas, we have a big Buy Black campaign. So since we've been here, we've definitely put our share of the money into the government funds, into the funds of the Arabs and such. So now here we are in the Nubian village. We want to stay true to the whole Buy Black concept. So here we are in the marketplace, doing our part. Small part, but you know, it can only take a small part to be impactful. So doing our part for the black economy right here in our homeland. Yeah, so when you, that specific market, it's like it's Karp Sahel. And what's taking place is like, there are many places like this because this is an actual village. It's a Nubian village. So a part of the trip, we want to experience some living culture as well. So we go to the area where the Nubians live, which is basically in the south here. It's like being in third ward. Like here, it's probably in this area somewhere around probably at least 80% black, and there are different Nubian villages. So, and it's also where the Nubian Museum is. So one day we go to the Nubian Museum. You know, we'll do our shopping. You got to take boats to get to these villages. That's fun too. And ultimately, we have like a festival, like a ball. And what will happen at that? If you make it through the 2 weeks, which you probably will, because you know you don't want to go back in a road trip, you get a certificate, and we have a party with the Nubians. And this is so much fun. They're a lot of fun. And they look like us too, you know. That made it good. Any other questions? Yeah, bro.
What you think about that new movie, Gods of Egypt?
Man, it pissed me off.
That's nothing to me. I mean, I haven't seen that my whole life. Only thing it does is it inspires me as a teacher. You know, it makes me say, where you have to go out and talk to more people and write more books. You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Because you all are here, but the majority of us, they will, unfortunately, they will never have an experience like this.
Right.
So all it made me say is I have to do my part, and then you all have to become ambassadors too. It has to spread like wildfire.
Right.
Otherwise, 20 years from now, you know, as those memes always say, 20 years from now, they'll be telling us, you know, Tupac was
Yeah.
At first, I was gonna boycott the movie. I wasn't gonna go see it at all. But I'm thinking they put a white face on everything, so I might as well see it, just see what kind of science they dropping in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then really, another thing, I don't know if y'all have ever seen this movie, but it's a movie called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Okay, now The Spook Who Sat by the Door is based on a book by Sam Greenlee called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. He wrote it in the late 60s. Then he wanted to make a movie. He had to go to so many different people to accumulate the money to create the movie The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Now there's what's different about The Spook Who Sat by the Door, what makes it unlike any movies that you see, is that one, the black man doesn't lose in the end, and two, he's using violence. He's using violence against white people. Now we watch TV all day. We watch all of those forensic shows and everything, but you never see any of those shows black people perpetrating violence against white people. You know, but this movie was completely unapologetic. How was he able to do that? By accumulating money. So we have the knowledge. Just listen to some of our best scholars. We have the knowledge to create our own movie, fiction or non-fiction, in the same way Sam Greenlee did. That's where we gotta get to. Not simply, we're at the realization stage, realizing this is fallacious. You know, we need to create some either non-fiction or what they call historical fiction, like fiction that's based on truth, like Django.
I think
like now, see, because Django is based on it's based on a man who was with John Brown called Dangerfield Newby. So Dangerfield Newby is Django, and Schultz is John Brown. So we have to create our own historical fiction.
one thing when I went to the movies and they were showing the preview of Gods of Egypt, every preview came on, the crowd was clapping. All the Marvel comic previews, they was clapping. The reason why I know they're getting hip is because when they showed the Gods of Egypt, even though that movie looked good, nobody clapped. They looked around like, man, I'm scared to clap for that one. All the white folks, no white folks, they didn't clap. Because they know it's like they were saying subconsciously, man, that's wrong. So I'm not gonna clap. I'm not gonna say nothing. In the movie, you could just hear a rat pissing on cotton. It was just quiet.
Right. Well, that's what time it is. Like I say, it's the Aquarian age. It's good to go to Egypt, you want to have that experience. You want to read, and then you want to actually walk in the steps of the ancestors. See for yourself. Let me point out Ra, or you notice Ra, and let me show you all of the history on the walls. That's important. But I will say this: I have a lot of faith in myself as a teacher, and it is my belief that if you take this pilgrimage with me, then you will not simply be a student. From that point forward, you will be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And that's